Good morning, Britain, and Happy New Year. New strikes on the railways. Don't travel by train, say rail bosses, as the first working week of the year becomes the worst week of rail disruption for 30 years.
Not one, but two unions are on strike this week, stopping more than 16 million individual trips, meaning confusion and chaos for commuters trying to get back to work.
And the world says farewell to football's greatest. Pele's funeral is going to be held later on today as thousands of mourners pay their respects to the Brazil legend, whose coffin is lying in state on the pitch of his former club, Santos.
Yeah, thousands of fans have been queuing for hours here to go inside Santos Stadium and have a chance to pay their respects at Pele's coffin before it's taken through the streets later on this morning for a private family burial.
Walls covered in mould and a flat so damp the curtains are dripping with water. In a Good Morning Britain exclusive, we sent housing campaigner Kwejo Twinaboa to investigate the shocking conditions people in the UK are still being forced to live in.
They've shown absolutely no willingness to reconcile. I would like to get my father back. I would like to have my brother back.
Harry, the Duke of Sussex, speaking out in two new interviews that'll be shown on television a bit later this week. In one of them, he says that he wants to heal the rift with his family, but in another, he criticises Buckingham Palace and he calls their silence a betrayal.
And rain and wind will sweep across the UK today with an unsettled week to follow. All that and more coming up on Good Morning Britain.
Tuesday, 3rd of January 2023. Live from Television Centre in London, this is Good Morning Britain with Susanna Reid and Richard Madeley.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
Year.
Year.
Yeah, here we are.
Very good to be back.
Blue shine, nothing changes, another strike.
Another strike. Oh, my goodness. I was watching back yesterday your interview with Mick Lynch.
Oh, with Mick Lynch, the RMT guy. Yeah.
Just before Christmas.
Yeah.
Although I wasn't quite sure when Christmas was.
Well, he made
because you had a massive row with Mick Lynch of the RMT about when Christmas is.
He's a very smooth operator, Mick Lynch. We will be talking to him again. I suppose you might call it round two, but
Ding,
I'm
ding.
sure we'll keep it civil in a couple of hours' time. But no, he made a rare tactical error, really. He basically said, we were talking about the Christmas strikes and the impact it was having on families and on businesses and hospitality businesses. And he said, well, I don't know about you, but my Christmas starts on Christmas Eve, which was just ridiculous because obviously they were Christmas. So we ended up having a bit of a set.
Well, and that's because just a couple of weeks earlier, he told me on this programme, we have left the Christmas period strike-free deliberately. So, of course, when the strikes were then taking place middle of December...
Yeah, 10 days later after he'd said that. Well, we showed him that clip and I don't think that pleased him. But we will hold him to account. We do hear reports across the weekend that he is willing to soft pedal a bit more in the negotiations. That's sort of leaking out. And, of course, we're seeing the workers themselves losing pay now, seriously losing pay with these strikes. So,
look, I noticed that even when he was talking to you a couple of weeks ago, he said that all of this didn't mean that a deal couldn't be done. He clearly has in mind the fact that a deal can be done. And as you say, those members who are going out on strike must be so keen for that deal to be done. And the Times reporting this morning, a generation of rail passengers will be put off travelling by train for good because of industrial action.
Well, you know, we did the programme live from Merseyside before Christmas, and I was going to get the train. But just because of everything that's been happening and because it was Christmas and there were other issues as well with the weather, I drove. And you know what? It wasn't too bad. In fact, I think I got there and back a little bit quicker than Kate did on the train because of delays and things. So I think that is a big worry for the rail industry generally.
Didn't you then have an accident after you got out?
Oh, no big deal. I just slipped up and banged my head on the ground.
Are you OK now?
Now, I'll tell you what, though. I don't know about you watching at home. Maybe some of you are watching this, because you can't get to work because of the rail strike, so if so, welcome. Or it may be because you've got this superbug. I had that all Christmas for a month. I've never had anything like it before. In fact, I'm beginning to wonder if there's a new strain of COVID going around.
There apparently is a variant of COVID.
Which doesn't test positive on the lateral flow
test. And you
tests.
didn't test positive,
I took a test every week, and it was always negative, but I can't help thinking that's what I had.
The other thing that's so concerning is what on earth is happening in our A&E departments. People waiting far too long for ambulances, and once they get to emergency care, waiting outside hospitals, if that is something that is affecting you right now. I mean, I would not want to call an ambulance at the moment. No. It's a really concerning problem in our A&E departments, and of course so many of those beds are being occupied by people who are fit to leave hospital but can't because our social care system is broken, in the words of the Archbishop of Canterbury.
Well, if you're one of those, we would like to hear from you this morning. If you've been waiting for an ambulance, if you've got a story to tell, then do let us know. We'll put it on the air.
And we're going to speak to Dr Tim Cooksley, who is an expert in emergency care medicine. We'll talk to him very shortly on the programme. But our main news this morning is on a day when millions of people should be returning to work after